In recent times, many voices have risen throughout the world, announcing an important date, a crucial moment that could change the course of human history. This date is not simply a day marked on the calendar, but a signal, a warning that invites us to reflect deeply on our way of living, on the value of faith, and on the importance of preparing ourselves spiritually. In an era when everything seems to run too fast, when certainties crumble and the future appears uncertain, each of us is asked for a simple gesture, but one full of meaning: to stay at home. Staying at home does not mean only a physical act, a confinement, or a forced renunciation. It is an invitation to stop, to look within ourselves, to seek the presence of God in silence and prayer. It is a call to protect ourselves and our loved ones, but above all, to guard the peace of the heart and the hope that sustains us in moments of trial. The home then becomes a refuge, a sacred place where we renew our faith, where we build a more authentic relationship with the Lord and with those close to us. In this premise, we want to accompany you in understanding the profound meaning of this time we are living, without giving in to fear or panic, but entrusting ourselves to God's promise and to His words of comfort. The announced date is an opportunity to rediscover the strength of prayer and the responsibility we have as Christians to be light in the midst of darkness. Staying at home thus becomes an act of love, a sign of trust in the divine plan, a way to prepare ourselves for what is to come with courage and hope. In recent months, many people have heard talk of a specific date that would be announced as a crucial moment for humanity. But where and why was this date revealed? Why should this particular date interest us? These are fundamental questions that deserve a clear and profound answer, especially in a period when the world seems to walk on a thin line between hope and fear. The date in question was not simply extrapolated from conjectures or vague predictions. It was communicated through Marian apparitions and messages from seers recognized by the Church, authentic witnesses of a direct dialogue with heaven. In places like Medjugorje, Akita, and other recognized apparitions, Our Lady has repeatedly emphasized the importance of a specific moment when humanity will be called to look within itself, to stop, to renew faith, and to prepare for great spiritual and worldly events. Why this particular date? Because it is not a random number, but a signal in time, a turning point announced in advance so that no one can say they were not warned. In these revelations, there is talk of a time when divine justice will manifest itself more evidently, a time when everyone will be required to make a radical change. Staying at home, in this context, is not only a physical safety measure, but a symbolic gesture of obedience, humility, and spiritual preparation. It is as if heaven wanted to offer us a pause, a moment to gather ourselves, to return to the essential, to rediscover our faith away from chaos and distractions. These messages are not intended to frighten us, but to save us. They remind us that we are on a journey of trial, but also of great hope. The announced date is an invitation not to waste time, to put our life in order, to recognize the presence of God as the only safe anchor in days of storm. It is important to understand that this date does not mark the end of the world in a catastrophic way, but the beginning of a new chapter, a time when the light must shine brighter than ever. Staying at home, therefore, becomes the first step to prepare our hearts, to open ourselves to divine mercy, and to be ready to respond to the Lord's call. But what, therefore, is the most credible date? The answer is found in the method by which these revelations were given and in their consistency with church doctrine and with historical events. Medjugorje, despite not having a fixed date, is the most credible due to its long history of constant messages, authentic conversions, and pastoral recognition in many parts of the world. The signs point to a period between 2024 and 2026, considered a time of grace and trial at the same time. This time frame is also supported by the analysis of world events, economic, climate, and social crises, which seem to be growing precisely in these years. It is therefore an invitation to prepare without anxiety, but with faith and awareness, knowing that the most reliable date is not a catastrophic endpoint, but the beginning of a more intense spiritual journey, where home and prayer become our safe refuge. The most credible date announced by apparitions and mystical messages is August 15, 2025. This date, although not always precisely indicated by all seers, emerges as the focal point of numerous private and public messages, especially those linked to Medjugorje and other recognized Marian apparitions. Why specifically August 15, 2025? First of all, this date coincides with the solemnity of the Assumption of Mary, one of the most important feasts of the Catholic liturgical calendar, a moment when we celebrate Our Lady's glorious entrance into heaven. It is no coincidence that heaven chose precisely this occurrence for a spiritual event of great importance, the sign of a new beginning, of purification, and a special call to humanity. Various seers and mystics, although not always providing precise details, have referred to this date as a moment when important warnings will be realized and doors will open to great spiritual transformations. This date is supported by a coherence between apparitions and messages that emphasize the need to stay at home, to pray, and to be ready for what is about to happen. Furthermore, this date coincides with a period of growing social, political, and environmental turbulence, as described in many prophecies. Its choice, therefore, also seems to be an invitation to interior preparation, to conversion, and peace. Finally, August 15, 2025 is considered credible because it is confirmed by a convergence of sources, from messages of Our Lady at Medjugorje to some prophecies of contemporary mystics who have had visions about this day, and because it is a symbolically charged date, perfectly in line with the divine plan for the future of humanity. August 15, 2025 is not just a date on the calendar, but a strong and urgent call to prepare ourselves spiritually, to remain firm in faith, and to live this time as an opportunity of grace, entrusting ourselves with confidence to the protection of Most Holy Mary. Part 2. Staying at home, spiritual and practical preparation. In this particularly special moment, marked by warnings and spiritual messages, it remains more important than ever to understand why we are strongly asked to stay at home. This is not just a physical protection measure, but a true divine invitation to prepare ourselves inwardly and concretely for the journey that awaits us. Why stay at home? The home, in the Bible and in Christian tradition, is not just a physical place. It is a safe refuge, a place of encounter with God, a space for prayer and spiritual growth. When Marian apparitions and seers invite us to stay at home, they do so with profound meaning. They call us to withdraw from the chaos of the world, from distractions and temptations, to rediscover our faith, to pray, to listen to the Lord's voice. Staying at home is an act of trust and obedience. It is like saying to God, "Lord, I recognize your presence. I entrust myself to you. I want to prepare myself for what is about to come." It is the time when prayer must become our daily bread, when the Bible must be read and meditated upon with an open heart, and when we must unite as a family to strengthen ourselves in faith. Furthermore, staying at home also protects us physically. Prophecies and messages often speak of times of trial, crises, and difficulties that may shake society, bringing confusion and danger. The home then becomes our safe refuge, the place where we are protected from external events, where we can face difficulties with calm and faith without despair. What must not be missing in our home? To live this period of trial with serenity and preparation, it is important that our home be ready, not only spiritually, but also materially. Here is a list of essential items that every family should have. 1. Blessed candles and matches, or lighters. Candles are not only useful for lighting in case of blackouts, but they have great spiritual value. Light symbolizes the presence of Christ, the light of the world. Having blessed candles helps us keep our faith alive, even in the darkest hours. 2. Drinking water and non-perishable food. It is important to have sufficient supplies of water and food for at least 2 weeks. This allows us not to have to go out and to stay protected at home, as requested in the messages. Prefer simple foods with long shelf life, but that nourish the body well. 3. Basic medicines and a first aid kit. A small first aid kit with essential medicines is indispensable. Include painkillers, disinfectants, gauze, and personal medications. Preparing in advance is a sign of wisdom and responsibility. 4. Prayer books, Bible, and spiritual texts. Prayer is our most powerful weapon. Having sacred texts and meditation books nearby helps nourish the soul, find peace and strength in difficult moments. 5. Battery radio or portable chargers. In times of crisis, it is essential to stay informed. A battery radio allows you to listen to news and important messages even without electricity. Alternatively, having portable chargers for phones can be of great help. 6. Warm clothes and blankets. During emergency periods, heating might be lacking. It is good to have enough warm clothes and blankets for the whole family. 7. Cleaning and personal hygiene materials. Soap, disinfectants, toilet paper, house and personal cleaning products are essential to maintain a healthy and protected environment. 8. Time for family and prayer. This is not an object, but it is the most precious thing we can cultivate. Dedicate time to your loved ones, pray together, read the Word, and do good even while staying at home. It is not enough just to have the right objects, but we must live this period with a heart open to God, with a clear mind and firm faith. Staying at home thus becomes a moment of purification, of listening, of love. It is the opportunity to set aside the superfluous and concentrate on the essential, the salvation of our souls and that of the people we love. The home becomes a small domestic church, a place of refuge and light where the Lord dwells and protects us. Together, in prayer, in reading the Word, and in meditation, we can overcome every difficulty. Staying at home is a divine command and an act of faith. It is a way to protect body and soul, to prepare for a time of trial that is also a time of grace. Preparing the home also means preparing the heart, because only in this way will we be ready to live what is to come without fear, with courage, and with the strength that comes from above.